Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into, well, probably the hottest topic in boardrooms right now, AI implementation.
It really is everywhere.
And we're looking specifically at this core question that came up in the sources you sent over. Is getting AI truly integrated across a company, effectively even possible?
Or is it just destined to be this expensive, flashy thing that actually disrupts more than it helps? That's the debate.
Right. So our mission today is to cut through the hype, get past the demos, and really dive into the engineering of adoption. How do you make sure a powerful AI tool actually sticks?
And becomes valuable, not just another app people ignore.
Exactly. Not another drain on resources and, frankly, employee patience.
And that's where the sources really zeroes in. They're essentially arguing about feasibility through the lens of strategy. It's about creating what they call invisible helpers.
Invisible helpers. I like that.
Yeah. The focus is all on this idea of seamless integration. Because according to this research, that seems to be the make or break factor.
Make or break for adoption, you mean?
For adoption, for engagement, for getting any real ROI. If the AI doesn't feel like it's just naturally part of how people already work, the whole thing could be dead on arrival. Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with this core idea, this philosophy. Why seamlessness is, as you said, make or break. Non-negotiable.
It sounds like basic good design, maybe.
It does, but the reasoning here seems deeper, rooted in how people actually work and think.
It is. The core analysis in these materials is that a lot of AI projects stumble because the solution feels like an external add-on.
Like, here's another website to check, another dashboard.
Exactly. A new tool, a new portal, somewhere else you have to click. And the problem that creates immediately is the burden of change.
Ah, the friction.
Yes. Every single time an employee has to consciously stop what they're doing, switch their focus, and interact with the AI in a separate space, you introduce friction.
And that friction, it adds up fast.
It does, and often it can completely outweigh whatever benefit the AI is supposed to provide, at least in the user's mind, which connects directly to what the sources call cognitive load. This isn't just about being slightly annoyed, is it?
No, not at all. It's about measurable inefficiency. If I'm constantly juggling applications, if I have to learn complex new steps, remember another password.
Or worse, re-enter information because the systems don't talk to each other properly.
Right, the perceived benefit of the AI just evaporates. It goes from being a potentially powerful tool to just an organizational headache, a burden.
The sources almost imply there's a sort of mathematical limit to how much friction people will tolerate.
I think that's fair. The research suggests that asking users to step outside their main tools, even for a moment, causes a really sharp drop in engagement, like immediately.
So the strategy has to be embedding.
Embedding the AI within the tools employees are already in all day, things like their internal portals, Outlook, Slack, Teams, whatever it is.
So it just feels like a natural part of that existing workflow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Almost invisible, like we said. Just an aid that's there when you need it.
Okay, so if we're aiming to cut that cognitive load to make it seamless, the next logical step has to be figuring out where to put the AI.
Right. Where do you intercept the user? Where will it have the most impact with the least disruption?
And what did the sources say about priorities? Where should companies focus first?
Well, it's interesting because the sources looked at different industries, but they really converged on a few key areas, these high-traffic platforms.
The places people live digitally at work.
Pretty much. Number one, communication channels, so
Yeah.
Slack, Teams, things like that.
Makes sense.
Then email clients Outlook, Gmail, huge volume there, project management software like Asana or Jira, and finally internal knowledge bases or maybe CRM systems.
So communication, email, project stuff, and knowledge or customer data.
Yeah. The strong suggestion is if your AI isn't easily accessible within at least one or two of those, your adoption rates are going to struggle badly.
And the sources seem particularly keen on embedding AI within those communication platforms like Slack or Teams. Why is that specific spot so critical?
Because those platforms are the central nervous system for a lot of teams, right? It's where questions get asked, decisions get made, often in real time.
So the value is immediacy.
Immediacy and context. The beauty of integrating there is letting users get complex information or trigger an action right in the middle of a conversation without switching context.
Without breaking the flow of the discussion.
Precisely. They don't have to open another window, log into something else, copy, paste. It maintains the flow.
Can you give us a concrete example, something really low friction?
Sure. Imagine someone just typing directly into a Slack channel, something like, summarize yesterday's exec meeting and pull out the action items.
And the bot just replies right there.
Yeah, immediately, in the same thread with a neat bulleted list. Or think about a support channel. A user posts an issue.
And the AI jumps in.
Instantly. Maybe it triages the ticket, suggests who should own it, even searches the knowledge base for a possible quick fix. All handled right there, without the user ever touching a separate help desk system.
Okay, that feels genuinely helpful, like an extension of the conversation itself.
That's the key. Organic.
And we see a similar idea with email integration, right? Outlook, Gmail. But the focus there seems maybe more on high-volume admin tasks.
That's right. Email is often about managing volume and repetitive tasks. So embedding an AI helper there can streamline things like drafting standard replies based on the email's context.
Or scheduling follow-up.
Or scheduling, or even sorting and prioritizing incoming mail. The sources mention things like a dedicated AI assist button right in the email toolbar.
So it's immediately accessible.
Or even context-aware suggestions that just appear as you're typing an email. The point is, the user gets value while sticking to their normal email habits. No need to copy text and paste it into some external AI website.
Got it. And what about moving beyond chat and email? Thinking about more data-heavy tasks like project tracking or looking at reports.
Yeah, for things like internal portals or dashboards where people go to check project status or review numbers daily, the advice is similar. Integrate the AI directly into that interface.
How would that look?
Well, it might be embedding a small chat widget right on the project dashboard itself, so you can ask questions about the data you're seeing right there.
Or maybe using voice commands.
Potentially, yeah. Voice commands via a web widget to ask for specific data points. But the principle is the same. Get the AI insights exactly where the user needs them to make a decision.
Not buried somewhere else.
Not tucked away in a separate analytics tool that requires another click, another login, another context switch.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. We've talked about the why, the need for seamlessness, and the where, these key platforms. Now let's dig into the how. Designing for, as the sources call it, zero friction.
Yes, moving into the really tactical requirements.
Yeah.
How do you actually eliminate that cognitive load in practice?
What are the absolute must-haves?
Well, this shifts into almost strict design mandates according to these sources. First off, single sign-on. SSO.
Mandatory.
Absolute mandatory, non-negotiable. Getting rid of separate logins for the AI tool is foundational. If your AI needs its own username and password,
You've already failed.
the sources basically consider that an immediate critical failure point for seamless integration.
Okay, so SSO tackles the login fatigue, but then you have the problem of different systems. How realistic is it to have, say, universal commands when tools like Jira and Outlook are built for completely different things?
That's a really important point. And yeah, the sources acknowledge it's tricky. The goal isn't one magic command that does everything everywhere.
Okay.
It's more about creating a consistent language, using similar core commands for common actions across platforms, like check my calendar, update project status, find that report.
And the AI needs to be smart enough to understand the context.
Exactly. It has to interpret that command based on where you are in Slack, in Outlook, on the dashboard. And the interface itself needs minimal inputs. The user shouldn't have to type out a super detailed request.
Let the system figure it out.
Let the system use the context to fill in the blanks, handle the complexity behind the scenes. Keep it simple for the user.
And then, assuming the AI understands and does its work, the output also needs to be frictionless, right? It can't create a new problem.
Absolutely. Huge emphasis on clear outputs. That means the results need to be presented instantly and straightforwardly.
Like those bullet points you mentioned earlier.
Bullet points, concise summaries, maybe simple data visualizations. Not a dense, multi-page reports that someone then has to spend an hour deciphering or formatting.
Because that just shifts the bottleneck.
Precisely. If the AI's output needs a lot of interpretation or manual editing by the user, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the automation.
And underpinning all of this, there's this need for consistency across platforms, which sounds like a potential nightmare for the tech teams trying to stitch everything together.
It's definitely a profound challenge, technically, but the argument is that it's non-negotiable for building user trust.
How so?
Because whether I interact with the AI through a Slack bot, or that Outlook button, or a widget on our portal, I need to experience a similar feel.
Same terminology.
Uniform terminology, a consistent tone and style, standardized formats for how answers are presented. That consistency builds predictability and confidence.
So the user knows what to expect no matter where they are.
Exactly. They trust that they'll get reliable, useful help, regardless of which touch point they happen to use. It removes uncertainty.
Okay, but now we have to pivot to the reality check. Making all of this seamless integration actually happen. This is often where that feasibility debate really heats up, right? The technical hurdles.
Yeah, achieving that level of smooth embedding isn't trivial. It takes serious planning and effort.
Immense effort.
So, what are the main technical roadblocks that companies absolutely have to clear, especially if they're trying to integrate with, say, older legacy systems?
That's the classic scenario, isn't it? The sources consistently flag compatibility as hurdle number one. You have to choose AI solutions with flexible APIs.
Things that can actually talk to the old stuff. Yeah, often modern RESTful APIs, things that can interface cleanly and, importantly, reliably with those existing enterprise systems, the old CRM, the legacy ERP, whatever it might be. If your AI can't communicate smoothly and securely with those core systems,
The whole idea of embedding falls apart.
it just collapses. You can't embed what can't connect.
And connecting raises the next big issue. When you embed an AI directly into workflows, giving it access to potentially sensitive conversations, customer data, security and privacy become paramount.
Oh, absolutely critical. And these are non-negotiable compliance blockers, too. Data security and privacy demand intense focus,
Meaning,
meaning robust, secure authentication back to SSO again, but also strict adherence to regulations like GDPR in Europe or HIPAA for healthcare data here.
and controlling what the AI can actually see.
Crucially, yes, access rights have to be tightly controlled and segmented. The system must limit the AI to accessing only the specific data needed for the task it's performing right now, nothing more.
So scope limitation is key.
Just as vital as encryption. You can't have the AI browsing freely through everything.
Okay, compatibility, security. And then what happens if it actually works? If it's truly seamless and people start using it a lot.
Then you hit the third major technical point, scalability. Your back-end infrastructure has to be ready for that success.
It needs to handle the load.
Instantly, without lag. If people are using it frequently, embedded in Slack or Outlook, and they hit a 3-second delay every time they ask a question,
They'll stop using it quickly.
immediately, which often means relying on cloud hosting, solutions with auto-scaling capabilities to make sure performance stays rock solid even when usage spikes.
So even if you nail the tech side, compatibility, security, scalability, there's still the human element of rolling this out, right?
Definitely. Technical seamlessness is necessary, but it's not sufficient. You still need clear support and effective onboarding.
How does onboarding change if the tool is embedded, though? It's not like training on a whole new application.
Exactly. The sources emphasize that onboarding needs to focus on showing users where the AI features now live within the tools they already know.
So less formal training, more like signposting.
Yeah, maybe quick reference guides, short videos, highlighting those universal commands we talked about, showing examples within Slack, within Outlook. And crucially, you need dedicated, fast support channels ready,
For troubleshooting.
especially early on. People will have questions specific to how the AI works in this platform versus that one. Quick answers are vital during that initial adoption phase. And that brings us to the final, really critical step, measuring whether any of this actually worked. You invest all this effort in seamlessness. How do you know if it paid off?
How do you prove the feasibility, the value?
By monitoring usage data. It's essential. But it's not just about counting logins.
The sources highlighted a few specific metrics, didn't they?
Yes, 3 key things that really show if you're getting true value and sustained adoption. First is frequency. How often are people actually interacting with the AI through each of those embedded points? That tells you about habitual use.
Okay. Frequency. What else?
Second, task completion rates.
Mm-hmm.
Are the queries people make actually leading to successful outcomes? Or are they giving up halfway through? This measures effectiveness. Is the AI actually helping get work done?
Makes sense. And the third?
Third is qualitative feedback. You still need to ask people. User satisfaction surveys, open comments, finding out what friction points still exist, what's still annoying them.
So frequency, completion, and feedback.
Right. And only when you see sustained positive trends across all 3 can you really say the integration effort was successful and the approach is feasible long-term.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? It sounds like the argument is that focusing intensely on strategic integration is what really shifts AI from being just another disruption.
Into potentially being an indispensable productivity partner.
Yeah. It seems the core debate about feasibility isn't just about the power of the AI model itself, but much more about where and how it's deployed.
Precisely. It boils down to designing these tools around people's existing habits, not trying to force new ones on them.
So by embedding help right into Slack, Outlook, those high traffic spots,
Making access truly frictionless with things like SSO and consistent commands.
and tackling those tough technical challenges like compatibility and security head on.
You create an environment where adopting this powerful new tech feels, well, natural, not forced.
And that's what drives the high engagement needed to prove that large-scale deployment is actually feasible, provided you prioritize that user experience above almost everything else.
Yeah, the goal isn't just to launch a tool. It's almost to change behavior fundamentally, but without the user really noticing the change because it feels so integrated.
Which leads us perfectly into a final provocative thought for you, the listener, based on these sources. They really stress using that usage data frequency, task completion, satisfaction, not just as a one-time check, but for ongoing iterative improvements.
Constantly refining the integration based on how people are actually using it.
Exactly. Always tweaking to increase engagement over time. So the question this raises is, if true integration is never really finished, but it's more like this continuous cycle of refinement shaped by user behavior, how does that fundamentally change how we even define AI deployment in a company?
Is it a project with an end date, or is it now an ongoing, evolving process?
Something to think about.